Disney princesses. So I did say at some point I wanted to do a video about Disney princesses. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. On Beauty and the Beast, Belle has Stockholm syndrome. It's just, I mean, it is painfully clear as to, I mean, as you see things or you start to experience more of the darkness of the world, yeah, you start to see like hidden messages and everything like that, because the whole thing is you have to explore the lowest lows and the highest highs on the spiritual journey. But you know, this is you know, one of the many things that are humorous to me that this is my perspective on it. Yeah, Belle had Stockholm syndrome. She was a dope chick though. Like, that's the whole thing, is she was just not afraid to be herself. So she had the narcissist, right? Gaston, that was, you know, he was like, oh, how dare you, you know, not be attracted to me and all, you know, and all the attention I get, basically. How dare you, you know, bypass me for a book and self-improvement? How dare you, right? Just like, and was on her like white on rice the entire movie until she, you know, gave up her freedom for her father. You know, kind of went out wandering in the night. I forgot how that went. Got herself in a situation with the Beast where he got held captive, and she gave up her freedom for him. Okay, cool. For her elderly, I think possibly sickly father. So while she was there, you know, she was, you know, I don't want your food. I don't want anything from you. Leave me alone and just let me go, basically. And then, you know, he was like, oh, I have all the things, you know, I have this, that, and the third, you know, I have a library. And she loved books. She loved anything in self-improvement or whatever. So he got to her with that. And eventually she fell in love with him. And, you know, the rest was history. So here comes Gaston finding out where she is, trying to play hero like he was, you know, because the narcissist is always going to be the victim or the victor or the hero, but never the villain. Ever, never, ever, ever the villain. So, and that's how the narcissist works. You know, they're never the bad guy. They're never accountable for anything. So he came there with, and got a bunch of people with, you know, pitchforks and fire, tiki torches to jump on his bandwagon, because most people were sheeple, and had them hunt down the Beast. You know, and him and the Beast had it, and he just didn't have what it takes. And usually that's what a narcissist is. If they were to get you in a one-on-one battle for real with all the people, the audience, the glitz, the glam, the fame, the cameras, and there was no consequences for you beating the brakes off of them, you know, and they wouldn't even pursue things in with the same energy. You know, they go and soak in their hatred and pity. And that's the whole thing, is Gaston always needed his hype man, his crew, and all that stuff like that. Perfect example of a narcissist. But covert narcissism is, you know, giving people what they want to, sway them, you know, into basically wanting to be with them. So that's two different. Overt and covert narcissism are both displayed in this film, in this movie. And that's just my perspective on it. And so you got to watch out for both. You know, somebody trying to give you everything you want, even though you said, you know, no the first time. No means no. No's a full sentence, and no should be taken seriously no matter what the situation is. You know, if you want to play those games, you make sure you play those games with somebody who knows that these are games that you play and knows you well enough to know when that no means no. And for somebody like me, I'm a straight shooter. No means no, man. Like, keep it moving, or we don't have problems, real problems. But yeah, so the overt narcissist is usually repulsive, you know, from beginning to end. Like, you don't really want anything to do with them now or ever. Versus a covert narcissist, you know, they're a charmer, a swindler, and, you know, so's a covert narcissist. They're pretty charming at times, until you see their true colors and they have narcissistic rage. And the thing about a covert I mean, yeah, covert narcissists, they're more patient, more low-key about their narcissism and what their actual angle is with you until they have their hooks stuck in you. And, you really don't have much of a way out, or, really much of your own identity anymore. They try to take your identity. And they tell you to hide this, that, and the third from the rest of your family or from those around you, so that, or they play the part so well on both ends that you would never know that they were capable of this type of crappy behavior. And that's the covert narcissist. They keep it under wraps until it's time to complete their mission. So yeah, it's basically what they were promoting in these movies. And what's another one? Aladdin. So that's another. There's somewhat narcissistic, because he basically he asked Jasmine, do you trust me? He extended his hand on his magic carpet and everything. Asked her, do you trust me? She says yes, jumps on the carpet, and he proceeds to lie to her for the rest of the movie. And that's basically what they're promoting. Go for the guy who is, who will lie to you to keep you, because that means he loves you. All right? I mean, it's kind of the message that, I would interpret if I, as a kid, basically. Or how it could be interpreted for a kid. Stick with the guy who's gonna, try to buy you, basically, who doesn't see that you're worth so much more than money and all the earthly riches. And she actually liked, what he was considered to be a rags guy, or a street rat. So she actually loved him for him. But he was so stuck in the hype of a narcissistic society where wealth is admired, physical, earthly materials are admired. Because remember, we're in this world, we're not of it. She loved him for him. She loved him for the street rat and Jafar. There's the narcissism. He couldn't take it. It's like, I got this, I got that, and I will be able to force you to my will once I get this scepter. He got the scepter, and it was all bad from there. He was able to convince Jasmine's father and, to do basically what he wanted, and made him his puppet and this is how riches and everything works in society. You can persuade a lot of people if you got money. You could turn a lot of people into yes men with money. And that was basically the message that was being shown there. And he was stopping nothing to get everything he wanted, including Jasmine, even though he knew she didn't love him, she didn't even like him. But he was gonna go by any means necessary to get the king's daughter, the princess Jasmine. And she couldn't stand his ass. So, but she also couldn't be bought, so he would have to have her under a spell. And she, the more she fought to be with Aladdin, the more he hated it. Even though Aladdin was a real liar, Jafar was himself the whole time. So, it's kind of a confusing message. But yeah, he was himself well, not really, actually. He was himself the whole time, and she didn't like that. Nobody likes the a-hole, right? Cool, simple message. So, when you don't have much else going for you, people who don't have much going for them on a personality aspect or physical aspect, they need money. They're compensating. Typically, they are compensating for one of their insecurities or just in general security. It's just hard to tell today, but Jafar, wasn't the Mr. Personality. So I'm guessing the rich is forced to compensate for that. I want to be an asshole, but I also want people around me, so I'm going to get this scepter so I can just have a bunch of yes men around and not really care about what they really want. Narcissism. And, their comfort levels, none of that. Screw all that. I just want servants, basically, to do my bidding and my will. See, the narcissism is somewhat of a guy complex. If they can use their powers of manipulation or whatever powers of manipulation they have access to, they're going to use that to its fullest to get as many puppets on their side. They're flying monkeys, basically. And yeah, so, but in the end, she still wanted Aladdin. It didn't matter what Jafar did. It didn't matter if he put her in a trance. You know, that trance will be broken. And these things are only temporary when they're able to attract you with material things and they see you for who you are. And you're a shitty person. You know, it's like, hell, I'd rather, you know, some people, rather than dealing with a terrible person with money, they just rather either be alone or, you know, she would have probably rather have gone broke than to deal with him ever again, ever see him again or anything like that. So yeah, there's that. And sorry, this parallel parking still makes me have to silence myself a little bit. So at the end of the day, she wanted who she wanted, but she didn't want, you know, all the trouble that came with who he was trying to be, you know, or what he was willing to do to be that person. So it showed that it's better that you stay true to yourself, your dreams, your desires, you know, your wants, and, you know, and whoever accepts you for who you are. They're not going to need all that, you know, they just want your company. You're wanted, you're not needed. He tried to be a need for her, and, you know, that's not healthy. And it almost destroyed him and her and everybody around him, really. So there's that. And let me see, what's another movie? The Little Mermaid. Oh man, that was pretty much a tragedy, people. I'm gonna come back to this.